Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Air Kitty. Alright, so I have been kind of on this obsession with 90s girl games. I've just had this obsession for a while. I've actually picked up some games over the year or so. Um, and I've just been staring at these games like I want to play these games. On top of that, again, I feel like I haven't really been getting to my collection of things. So of course, I want to do my best to try to actually make a dent in the collection, actually recording some of these games. Of course, though, when I was going through my collection, I was trying to think of oh, what should I record now and stuff like that. I found a bunch of the girl games, and I was like, oh, let's do this. So I'm starting. It's funny because I kind of have two piles actually. Let me start with that. So I have games that are probably only going to work on the 98, which is what I'm going to start with. And then I have games that actually might work with my Windows 10. So I'm starting with the 98 games. And the first game that I'm doing, I'm not necessarily going to call this a series because every single game is going to get their own video. You know, they're all going to get the attention that they all deserve. But get ready to see the same sweatshirt for the next couple of videos. The same clothing, at least. But so the one that we're talking about, the one that I'm doing for this video, is let's talk about me. Let's talk about me, guys, okay? Me. The one that's running this channel. Okay? The reason why you're all here, right? Me? Right, that's why we're all here. It's for me. Not the games. Not this. For me. But yeah, so I found this, and I was actually kind of surprised because, while I've seen a lot of girl games throughout the years, I've never actually seen a lot of them with a T for teen rating. A lot of them have been E for everyone, or, child to adult, or something like that. And they've all had very similar themes as to what they talk about. A lot of it will be about, high school drama, secrets, horoscopes, boys, the typical things that for classical American teenage girl has on their mind. So this game for me was kind of no different. And of course it's I've been wanting to indulge in this genre of game where it's it's a game all about it, not just targeted towards girls, I guess, but in a sense, targeted towards the individual that is playing the game. That is why I'm playing this. But so what's interesting about this is that, so on the back of this, the little blurb on the back reads, being a teenage girl in the 90s can have its challenges. It can actually, considering that was the second wave of the suffrage movement for women. This CD-ROM covers everything from health and romance to cool fashion fun to profiles of inspiring women. It's hip, it's fun, it's what girls want. Okay? This game is gonna read my mind. It's what girls want. It's the original Let's Talk About Me. So apparently it boasts that there's a diary that's password protected with email address book and digital scrapbook. There's a section called The Future, which is Western and Chinese zodiacs, Dream Dictionary, that actually sounds really interesting. Bio rhymes, rhythms, and cyberspace crystal ball, that sounds cool. It does have interviews with successful women and popular role models, which is great. If I don't see Ms. Hopper on there, I'm gonna be real upset because she is the reason. Well, not the reason, but she is one of the pioneer women of my field. Okay, if I do not see Grace Hopper on here in this interview, I'm gonna be upset. Okay? Yeah. And of course, it boasts a virtual closet and much more. Obviously, there is some stuff on here that I know you can use the internet for. Of course, obviously, I removed the network card from my computer when it was causing a problem, but of course, I don't want it hooked up to the internet. I don't want my 98 hooked up to the internet. So, yeah, I'm good with it not being hooked up to the internet. But so we might miss out on those features. The boys are quite rambunctious this time of night, so don't mind them. I will say it is actually kind of interesting too, because obviously this game is presented as if it's, a parent giving this to their teenage daughter. And inside, there is a special message for parents. So, this special message for parents: coming of age topics discussed, parental guidance suggested. It's about being a girl, in the 90s. I mean, granted, not for much longer, really, because this game was made, I guess, in anywhere between 1996 and 1998 is kind of what I'm getting. But so, as the first interactive guides for female adolescents, doubt it, Let's Talk About Me, and Let's Talk About Me Too, provide a preteen or teenage girl with the opportunity to explore her relationships, personality, and potential, all within the privacy of her own interactive experience. During this stage of development, girls change and grow at very different rates. Excuse you, I'm talking about me right now. This isn't about you. Don't go into shock today. We also recognize that girls and their families vary tremendously. We believe that the family is the best place for children to learn about themselves and their changing roles in the world. These CD-ROMs, they're talking about both of them, okay, provide useful information on a variety of subjects that often concern and mystify young people. We provide lots of discussion points and activity suggestions to help girls on their journey toward adulthood. Okay. I mean, I'm a little skeptical about this, but, as I always am. I don't necessarily see myself as a game reviewer, but obviously I do like doing deep dives into things so I can give everybody the best experience possible with games. Again, as I said, I know everybody's not exactly gonna have the games or have the means to play the games, so obviously this is me doing my due diligence for the society, I suppose. But yeah, so let me jump into the game and let's see if what it's boasting is actually true. Let me turn on my teenage self and let me see what teenage me would have thought about this game. This is like the weirdest intro song I've ever heard in my life. Goody. Yeah, so thank God for backup plans. So I still have not fixed the issue with the color bleeding in my Windows 98, unfortunately. I think that's going to require me to get another capture card device of some sort that works better with VGA. That sucks. But thankfully, I have backup plans. I have my 32-bit Windows in the virtual machine, and that seems to be working just fine. Obviously, I tested the game on 98, works fine, and it looks exactly the same as it does on the 32-bit Windows 10. So we're all good to go. It is kind of funny though, Obviously, because I'm playing it on Windows 10 as well as effective, I did get this on the Windows 98 as well. Um, don't mind the fact that the screen is absolutely tiny to look at the moment, but occasionally I'll get these pop-ups on the side, like this one. Your screen is set to show more than 256 colors, which isn't needed. It may hurt your speed if you don't have tons of RAM. I have 32 gigs of RAM. I think I'm good. But the video will look better. This is not like this coloring is actually not like off coloring. This is just the color it shows when it does this. When it shows this message, it will change here when I click the button. But then it warns me that I might still want to change settings, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. No, I'm not changing it. But now we're finally in the game! From this point on, I have no idea what's going to happen. So, if something goes wrong, if there's a horrible visual error, I can't help you with that anymore. I can't help me with that anymore. So, welcome to Let's Talk About Me. Please tell us some more information about yourself so that we can offer you some fun surprises later. Press return when you are ready to start Let's Talk About Me. Well, I'll give you my name at least. It's Air Kitty. My birthday, July 4th. I'm not going to give the year. Nobody needs to know that. And you don't need to know my email. I think I'm good. Oh, your birthday didn't look right. How about now? I guess I need to give my year. No, that's... I guess I gotta write it in the format that they're looking for. Why can't I put in the last digit of my year? Sure, that looks perfect. Can I just do that? Just put in... Good. Great. Just got into the sign-in screen. I'm already having trouble. Welcome to the password screen for Let's Talk About Me. Since you are here for the first time, you need to create your password. Password. Make sure it is easy for you to remember, but not too easy. You don't want anyone else to be able to figure it out. Write it down if you have. Don't write your passwords down. That is a horrible piece of advice. I am telling you as a computer scientist, do not write your passwords down. The only time it is acceptable to write down your passwords is if it's in a password manager. If for this, obviously, I don't think it's going to be too offensive just to write it down for myself, because I don't have anything like bank information or personal information that's probably going to go going into this, but still, just get in the habit of don't write your passwords down. Put them in a password manager where they're locked and secured, and that way if you need to find out that password again, because you have a life like mine where your password has to change every 90 days, you can easily find out what your password is. Yeah, but be sure to keep it in a safe place. Yeah, just put it in a password manager. This way you and only you can look at your stuff. Yeah, if you write it down, it's not secure, okay? Where do I put this password? Do I hit enter? Your password can be anything you like, but it must contain at least one letter. Well, dang. So where do I input this secret password that no one is gonna know about? Do I just say it? Is it like those like really cool like early 2000s like voice activated diaries where like it like recognizes the voice and where's the CD case? Pretend this is like the interactive diary where like it'd have a speaker on it and be like, password please. You'd be like, Brandon. And then your little brother would come over and be like, Brandon, I can't open it. Is it gonna be like that? So, where do I put this password in? Instruction manual, I need help. Okay, I'm guessing I just type in a password, I guess. I'll just type in... Oh! That's what it was looking for, but it didn't tell me... Good enough. Great. We want to make sure the password you have chosen is the one you really want. Please type it again so we can both be sure. I'm pretty sure this is the password I want. Please wait while we add. Okay. Oh good, this song again. Gotta turn it down a little bit. It's a little much. Okay, so we've got a couple different categories. We've got my personality, my body, my future, and my life. Which is looking like a roller coaster ride, which would be very accurate, actually. And it's even funnier too, cause like this whole game, like, let's talk about me. The song I have a song stuck in my head, and it's a country song too. I think from the 90s. It's by Toby Keith, and it's I Want to Talk About Me. And I've just got that song stuck in my head.
Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me.
Does it freak anybody else out to just have like a song that's just mostly instrumental and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the song, they have vocals? Okay, well, let's go to my personality. Let's just go right down the list. This is peaceful. Okay, so we've got a couple different places we can go. Again, let's just start from top to bottom, left to right. What's this? Shapeoscope? My favy! What do you feel like doing?
What do you feel like doing?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
I don't know. Have you had this conversation with your friends like maybe 10 million times? The Shapeoscope takes your emotional temperature and suggests activities to go with your mood. Take it by yourself or with a friend. As the shapes flash on and off the screen, grab the one that appeals to you most right now.
Okay. I see a circle. It reminds me of 0. Z from the sleep that I would desperately love to get as an adult. A triangle. A square, which is what I am. A rectangle. Reminds me of a space bar. Ooh, moon. I was gonna say, moon is actually the one that speaks to me most. You're at your most sensitive and intuitive. It's a great time to paint or draw, to meditate and dream. Have a hot bubble bath, light candles and incense, write a poem. I don't write poetry. I do draw, I meditate a lot actually, because I'm constantly stressed. And I do dream quite a bit. What is... There's do the quiz again, there's try this, and there's print. What is try this? Activities. Planner. Remember to place a shape onto your personal planner. Friend, sit in a circle with your friends and play charades. Try to guess which shape of on the shapeoscope she is imitating. Guys, guess what shape I am? Can you guess? And of course, let's play the game that has never ended any friendships right next to Monopoly as well. A diary. Go to the diary and write about the thoughts and feelings inspired by today's symbol. Place the corresponding clip art onto today's page. I did see that they had a diary function. I think I just read that on the back as well to you guys. So yeah, there is a diary function, so obviously we'll play around with that online. Email other symbols that interest you to our website, and we'll include them in future editions of the Shapeoscope. Okay, get out. Collect symbols that appeal to you from magazines and the media and decorate your room with them. No, but good try. Oh, hey. Oh, we start with 4. So what's 1? The stuff I'm made of. Pretty sure it's just flesh, blood, a little bit of carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, some dark matter in there, I'm sure. Okay, there we go.
Who are you today? Who might you become? Uncover your true personality and what it means about your future. On each of the 6 screens, click the box that best describes you.
Oh god. Okay. I thought it was just gonna be like the 4 that they had given me, but I'm guessing those are the results. So there's Speed Demon. I walk fast, talk fast, think fast, eat fast, oops, gotta run, super slow people make me crazy. I mean, yes, if you ask my family, I would... Especially when it comes to my driving, I am a speed demon. I have no chill with people that are going really slow in front of me. Now, I'm not talking about people that are just doing the speed limit. I'm like, those people, I'm like, I get it. It's the people where I'm like, I'm literally, like, we will be, like, they are going, like, criminally slow. Like, I am coming up right behind them and slamming on my brakes because they are going way too slow. Like, I'm doing the speed limit and I'm still slamming on my brakes because they're going way too slow. To which then I just rage speed around them. Safely. I do it safely. I check all my mirrors, I check everywhere, but then I make sure to just get the heck out of their way because they're going to cause an accident and I'd rather not be there when it happens. There we go. Mother hen, absolutely, actually. Call me a worrywart, I am, actually. But I care about my friends and their feelings. I get upset when I see all the unfairness in the world. I do, actually. Mother hen is probably the nickname I earned growing up, because that was me in my friend circle. I was the mother of the group. Jokingly, actually, in middle school, and then it kind of reached into high school, I had 3 friends that would call me mom, like jokingly. And it was actually really funny because one of my friends actually, I hadn't seen her since high school, but she had actually become a manager at a restaurant actually. And when I went through drive-thru to get my stuff, I saw her through the drive-thru window and I was like, "Hey!" And she instantly remembered me and she came screaming up to the drive-thru window and she was like, "Oh my god, it's my mom!" And the drive-thru lady's just like looking at us like, "Aren't you two the same age?" But it was a great moment. I laughed at it and it was great to see her again. So yeah, Mother Hen might actually be the one that I choose. Dr. Dreams. I'm not lazy, I just like to check out and check into my own head. I'm always coming up with new ideas and plans. Um, I would say yes to that one as well. I am one of those people that unfortunately I don't think I have ADHD, but I feel like a lot of people might think I do. Um, I do kind of get bored easily with some projects, so like I become fixated on projects, but if I become too fixated on it for too long, I get bored. And so therefore I typically have multiple projects running at the same time so that way when I get bored I can easily switch to one and jump between them and get them all done like kind of like at like a consistent pace. I mean, yes, I would do Doctor Dreams, but I feel like I don't follow through with a lot of my dreams either. So probably not Doctor Dreams. Control Freak is a little like it is kind of me, but it's probably not the one that describes me the most. People think I'm compulsive, but I really care about being neat. Disorganization drives me nuts. I'm one of those people that's like I don't mind a little bit of a mess. I do like to have a neat, you know, space and a neat, organization system. Of course, as we can tell from the chaos of my room, though, it is still a little disorganized, so I'm not really the control freak. So yeah, Mother Hen is what I'd probably go with. Oh god. The boss! Somebody has to be in charge and make sure things get done. I'm the person for the job. I find myself actually in that position a lot, even though I don't technically gravitate towards that job, like, instinctively, I find myself in that position a lot, where I'm put in charge of things. And I think it's just because of the fact of I'm the one that's always the most prepared for stuff, so I'm the one that gathers the most knowledge usually on a subject. Um, so because I usually have the most knowledge on something because I've gone through and done the research as well as like I've prepared myself for everything, uh people typically just put me in charge. I don't think I do a bad job at it, but I don't think it's the job that I do the best at. Uh on top of that, I can become very, very bossy with people that don't like that want to challenge me. Ask my brother and sister when I had to babysit them growing up. I was bossy. I was so bossy. I was Angelica growing up. I was probably a little bit nicer than Angelica, but I was still basically Angelica. Team player. Everybody's input is important. We all have something to offer. I work well in groups with other people. Um, I don't think that's too far off from me. I do actually find that at work, me and another coworker, when we work together on a project, even if the tasks are a little different, but they kind of mirror each other, we actually do really well working together and get the task done a lot faster. So I think over the years I've become a team player, but I think growing up I was not a team player per se. Idea girl. Some of my suggestions are kooky, but sometimes they really work. I have so many ideas. It's a full-time job, but thinking them through. Uh, it's a full-time job just thinking them through. Um, that would probably be more instinctual to me, the idea girl. Um, I feel like I usually come up with really, really great ideas, but then of course because I'm only one person, I have no way of actually implementing them. But then that's when I look to other people and been like, hey, I have this great idea. Can you help me out with it? Worker bee, just show me the plan and I'll get started. Step-by-step instructions are best for me. Ah, man, worker bee actually wouldn't be too far off either. The thing is, though, is that when I think of myself, I'm actually not satisfied with just being the lowly worker in a sense. I feel the need to have a bigger purpose in a project, so either being the boss or being the idea person. I feel like the idea person is typically where I'm at. I do, it's like, of course, that's like I pull my weight, but when it comes to ideas and problem solving and stuff like that, that's kind of where I've shined most in my life. So it's like between Idea Girl and the boss. I feel like Idea Girl is probably where I'd go. Oh god. wing it. I often jump into things without reading the directions. I can figure it out quicker anyway. No, I'm not this. I will say this right here drives me nuts when I see other YouTubers doing this. Like they'll play a game, completely disregard the instructions, and then they have no idea how to play the game or something like that. It bothered me a lot. My brother used to do it too. Before, like, when he was in that age of like he was just learning how to read kind of idea. Yes, he'd still have problems reading and stuff, but instead of trying to learn how to read like the stuff that was on screen, he would ask me if I would do it for him. After a while, I just finally got tired of it because I could see that's like he wasn't doing it because he really needed help. He was doing it because it was the easier solution. So I finally got kind of wise to it, and I was like, you can play my games, Ethan, but if you're gonna play them, you're gonna learn how to read them. I'm not gonna read them for you. It's gonna be a lesson then. He did not like that very much, but obviously, it was a lesson that I felt had to be learned. Discuss it. I like to get other people's advice before I do something. I learn better from people than from paper. I do like doing this more. I typically like to talk out my problems a lot, or talk out ideas. I think I've explained this in other videos, but a very popular thing that a lot of programmers do is this thing called the rubber duck method, in which if you're stuck, you get basically a rubber duck, or just essentially you get something that you can talk to, in a sense. Something that you can imagine that you're talking to, like as if you're explaining this idea to somebody who has never ever heard of programming or your idea. And what you do is you explain your concept or idea to that thing, the rubber duck in a sense. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to help you find things that you're missing, or, find ways of problem solving certain things, or doing critical thinking for things, and helping basically connect the dots. It does actually help out a lot. It's funny because actually, with my senior coworker, he's kind of my rubber duck, and my boss and I actually joke a lot because this particular coworker, he does know a lot. I aspire to be like him at some point. I aspire to be the programmer that he is. It's going to take me a lot of work and a lot of frustrations, but I am fully committed to wanting to be where he's at. But it's funny because obviously, like, we talk all the time, and my boss and I admit that's like when we don't know what to do next and we need to turn to this senior coworker for advice, we'll start typing out the email, and it's like halfway through explaining what we did, we have an epiphany, and it's like there's usually a 50-50 shot that it actually helps us with our problem. But even if it doesn't help us, it at least gives us one more thing that we can go to this coworker and be like, I also did try this and this did not work. So the rubber duck method is actually very effective. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But I do like the discussion part. Consider it. I love to consider all the possible ways I could do something. I sort of hate having to choose. Kind of. When it comes to that whole debate about, like, what kind of decision maker are you? Do you go by logic or do you go by your gut? I feel like mostly I go by my gut, but that doesn't mean that there isn't logic behind it. I do look at the logical arguments behind something, but then I go by my gut feeling to basically say, like, which one feels like there's more pros to it, more benefits, than there are cons or costs, in a sense. Like, which one feels better for me? While I do like the logical side of things, and I do like making sure that, like, I'm actually picking the correct thing, I realize that not every choice is going to be the same for every single person, if that makes sense. So what might be the right choice for me could be very different for somebody else. So that's why I like discussing with people, because obviously I get their take on it, I get their experience of it, And sometimes their experience is actually very, very different from like the research or basically like the facts in a sense. So what people have experienced sometimes is going to be very different from what is being told to me by, like the internet or things I've looked up. So there's that. Learning it though, I for one always read the directions. Why not do it right the first time? I do actually. I actually feel like more like learn it would probably be me. One, because yes, why not do it right the first time? Um, I'm not a stranger to mistakes and screwing up, but if I'm gonna do something, I'd rather do it right the first time. It does kind of, I do kind of go with the saying of if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And that's not like to be like the movies and stuff like that where, the villains are like, if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. And it's not anything like that. It's more like the fact of if you want to reach the expectation that you're aiming for, it's best that you do it to ensure that you meet that expectation. If you entrust that job to somebody else, there's a good chance they're not going to reach that expectation the same way you would. So it's like instead of pushing it off on somebody else, it's like if you have the time, the ambition, and the resources to do so, do it yourself. And that's kind of how I live my life. I'm very independent. I typically like to do things by myself in a sense, or for myself. One, because I do like learning. But on top of that, it gives me another skill to kind of add to my repertoire in a sense. So that way, like, them, if somebody else needs help down the line, I can either teach them the skill, or I can help them in a sense if they need it, like in a pinch. So it makes me feel good because I can help more people. But it's also the idea of, sometimes it takes less time if I do it versus if I have to show somebody how to do it or if I have to push it off onto them. Because again, they may not have the same expectations as I do, even if I've conveyed those expectations to them. So, granted, I think out of this I do learn it. Oh god. I don't know what this one's implying, but I feel like I've said all of these. I get it. I'm usually one of the first in the class to understand new stuff. I pick things up really fast. Kind of, yeah. I'll be there in a sec. What is the big rush here? What's more important, a really interesting conversation or hurrying on to the next thing? It's funny because I'm like, when I was in school, I did actually pick up things quite quickly. I think I still pick up things pretty quickly to this day, but obviously, again, it's like as I've gotten older, that has slowed down quite a bit, that process, as well as the fact of, as you get older, you get more stresses added to your life. So the idea of being able to retain knowledge, it's not as quick as it was at 16 versus, or it's not as quick at, nearly 30 years old versus 16 years old. But I think for my age, I still pick things up fairly quickly. But I do like to kind of take my time with things. I don't like to rush things, as we can see from my videos. I don't rush things. Let's see. Sorry, what did you say? I entertain myself during boring classes, just spinning thoughts in my head. My friends describe me as being creative. I did draw a lot in class because, again, I would get bored just sitting there, and it did actually help me process thoughts a lot better. Because actually, kind of like to this day, if I have drawings that, like, I pick up from my past and stuff like that, like, it's kind of like if anybody were to, like, go through my box of drawings and then give me a drawing and tell me what do I remember about that drawing, I could tell you where I was that day when I drew it, possibly a conversation I overheard or had with somebody on that day, how old I was, other little details about the drawing that I was making or thoughts that I had. Like, my memories are kind of locked into my drawings. So, I will say probably that one. Could I have 5 more minutes? Excuse me, but I don't really enjoy the pressure of having to come up with a quick response. I'd rather be sure I have the right answer. Um, it's funny because I'm like, I feel like I'm in a lot of these. Like, there's a little bit of me in each of these because I'm like, I don't like being rushed. I get overwhelmed really easily when I'm being rushed into something. Instead of coming up with an answer quicker, I shut down. And it takes a lot in me to push myself through that stress to basically be like, I need to come up with a decision. I need to have an answer. Yeah, I like taking my time when I have the freedom to go at my own pace. I actually go quicker than if obviously I was being rushed into something. I did pick things up rather quickly, but I did also entertain myself with classes because of the fact of usually I did pick things up more quickly. So classes to some degree and to some level would become boring to me. I would probably say I entertain myself during boring classes. Probably. Okay. Think big. I think you can miss out on a lot of fun opportunities if you get too caught up in the nitty gritty details of a project. I am one of those people that I see the bigger image and the details kind of get lost in it. So it takes me a while to go from big picture to small details. Um, when people try to get me to think, small details and then go to big picture, it's not natural to me and it takes me a lot longer. So I would say this is probably pretty accurate. Be nice. When I have a friend over, I always offer her something to eat or drink before we get going on the project du jour. I mean, I actually do. I always try to be a good host to my guests and stuff like that. I guess for me, I grew up with there was a certain expectation of how you treated guests when they were over at your house. Um, I think it also came from the fact that I didn't act like that when I was younger, and I had to kind of get it taught to me. So now being older, it's like now I have that expectation of myself that it's like, okay, there's a way that you act when guests are over at your house. Welcome to my world. So many ideas, so little time. When I have a friend over, we never even get to half the things I thought of that we could do. Um, I've, sometimes that happens. I typically try to stay realistic with what we can do and what we want to do for that day. I feel like typically, actually, we usually get to everything in that day, and we have to come up with more ideas for what to do with the day. So, probably not that. Here's the plan. I like to have something specific to do when I have a friend over. I just hate for us to not be able to come up with something fun and get really bored. I do typically like to have some idea of the purpose, I guess, of a meeting. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a big purpose. It could just be like, oh, let's get together and spill tea. Like, for me and my friend Patrick, that's usually our plan. We're just gonna get together and spill tea together. Talk drama. But, yeah, it's like there is typically, like, if I go out and everything like that, I typically want to plan for it. But I guess that usually if I invite a friend over, it's not, I don't exactly have a plan for it, like a specific plan. I just have things that I'm like, oh, here are things I can offer us to do. And then I give it to them and I say, what do you want to do? Again, kind of going back to the whole being nice. One of the expectations is not like in a sense of being walked all over, but, giving your guests kind of first pick of what they want to do or something like that. Because, yes, even though it is your place and there are boundaries and rules and such, it's like, these are activities that you can do whenever, but you don't always have your friend over, so maybe there's an activity that they really want to do while they're there, and it's considered polite in a sense. It's etiquette to allow them to pick the activity first, unless they offer you the suggestion and say, I don't really know what to do. What do you recommend? I don't know. I'm a big, I don't know why, as I'm older, I'm a big stickler on etiquette. I understand that there are some people that don't understand etiquette, and that's fine. I typically don't mind educating. But I am a big stickler on etiquette. There's common courtesy and etiquette and stuff like that, and I do have that as an expectation. So I'd say be nice. Let's go. I want to travel everywhere. I don't care if I have to go by myself. I care a lot, actually. I mean, I love the idea of traveling, but I am very much a homebody. I like home is my headquarters, is my home base. I need home as a headquarters or home base. I can't be one of those people that's just like, "Oh, I just travel the world for a living." I can't do that. I would become very incredibly stressed and be like, "I don't have a house. I don't have a place to call home. I'm a nobody." As well as the fact of I don't like traveling by myself. One, it's not very fun. I've already done that. It's scary. But on top of that, it's also the fact of just with how the world is nowadays, with like unfortunately like young women that are going traveling to places and something happens. Like those stories, it's like thankfully women are becoming a lot more confident in themselves and being able to fight back against certain injustices. But stuff like that still happens. They still get kidnapped. They still like, and it's not even just women too. It's men this happens to as well. And it's because they are alone. They don't have people there to back them up. So it's like traveling by myself is actually quite scary because of the fact of I'm scared that when I'm alone, somebody is gonna try and kidnap me or something. And I know it's a weird thing to say, but it's true. It's a true fact. Um, can I bring my friends? I would enjoy traveling with a group of kids. One of those teen tours would be great. I actually, again, like I said, would love to travel with people. It's more fun, as well as the fact that it make me feel safer and more comfortable. Armchair pilot. I daydream about traveling all the time. I would love to see how people live in other countries. Yes and no. It's funny because I think since I've become friends with Patrick, I've been doing a lot more traveling than I would have imagined myself doing at all. And it's for a good thing. My friend Patrick, it's again one of those things where we're those good opposites where we complement each other in the sense of we have a lot of things in common, but we also have a lot of differences that kind of brings out the better side of both of us. I feel like for me, because I'm older, I have the wisdom in a sense, and I have more of that preparation, I suppose. Where Patrick is younger in a sense, he has not just, I'm not saying youthfulness, but he has more of that whimsy of life in a sense. He's also it's also one of those things where he's originally from Croatia, I believe. His family is. And so he constantly travels all the time with his family, to go see family overseas and stuff, and he's been to many different countries already. So he's also the one that kind of encourages me to kind of get out of the house and everything. And if I'm like, I don't want to go by myself or something like that, he's like, that's fine. He's like, I'm free this Thursday, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. So I think that's what really makes us great friends, is the fact that we both bring each other's we're both strong where the other one is weak. Kind of idea. Where's my guidebook? I'm great at packing a suitcase and making sure the plans for a trip are solid. I wouldn't want any unpleasant surprises. Kind of. I think I'm gonna go with the friend thing though, because I'm like, granted, I am usually pretty prepared, but I will say when I did travel by myself for the first time, um, there were so many things about TSA that I probably should have known, but I didn't at the time because I had never flown anywhere, like, outside of the state. Like, my family typically drove places because we couldn't afford the plane tickets. So when I flew for the first time and it was by myself, one thing I didn't know was that you couldn't bring like a 16-ounce soda through the what is it? You couldn't bring it through TSA when you were going through security. I didn't know that because I had bought a soda prior because I was like, man, I'm really thirsty. And, I was just sipping on it until I got through security. And then when I got through security, the thing went off and they checked my bag and like, oh, sorry, ma'am, you can't have this. And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah. They're like, you can either drink it out here or you can buy another one in there. And I think I had still like an hour to go before my plane got there. But I was just so paranoid about something going wrong. I was like, just toss it. I'll buy another one. Yeah, so there's a lot of things I didn't know about flying and TSA at that point. Obviously, I didn't get the whole thing where it's like I got the pat down and got pulled off to the side, like, ma'am, you need to come with us. But I got, like, the simple stuff, like, oh, you can't bring more than this amount of liquids through, and, like, oh, make sure that you do this, and, all that stuff. And, oh, this is how you read the tickets and everything. I had a bunch of that stuff. I will say the one thing I did know is not to post pictures of my plane ticket online. Because I did not want to have the unpleasant surprise of finding out my flight got canceled. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to say bring friends. Wow, okay. This makes a lot of sense. So I scored low on director, medium on Imagineer, which is funny because that's kind of where I thought I'd be. Low on organizer and halfway on diplomat. So I'm kind of in the middle with Imagineer and diplomat, which makes sense actually. So profile. You love to share ideas with others and make concepts come to life. You are great at explaining things. You have a real gift for connecting with other people. Your sensitivity and intuition are especially strong. So I'm seeing a pattern. I mean, I've only looked at two things, but I am seeing a pattern of a couple things that words that are coming up for me, which is sensitive and intuitive. And granted, those are two words I've seen a lot in my life, and yes, those two words probably describe me a lot. I'm very empathetic to people, to the point where, like, I feel what they feel a lot of times. Almost to, like, a psychic, like, level or something like that. So, and then, like, I guess same thing with the intuition. Like, I do have that intuition, and it's funny because, like, those are two things that you don't. Those are two words that you typically don't see with somebody that is on the spectrum. Usually, I don't think it's necessarily rare, but it's rare to hear about in a sense. But it is kind of funny because yes, I am the one that's on the spectrum that when you think of like autism and stuff like that and Asperger's, I have the other symptoms or the other behaviors in a sense, which is I can read social cues and I'm actually very good at reading nonverbal cues in a sense. So in a sense, me communicating non-verbally is probably more effective than verbally. So, yeah. Lifestyle, which I'm gonna guess is like, ideal jobs for my personality type. Teacher, doctor or nurse, counselor or spiritual leader, and architect. And it's funny because actually these three I've actually gotten quite a lot in my life, which is funny that I didn't actually take them. I didn't mind the idea of a teacher. I think, and it is one of those things where like I have a lot of respect for teachers, especially nowadays, and I think there's a lot of rewarding things that come out of being a teacher. You know, I can imagine, the overwhelming amount of pride and, just joy that you get when you have a student that you taught in your class, either from like a really young age or in high school and stuff like that, and then you see them as an adult and you catch up with them and you learn that, their life is actually going really, really well. And it's like you feel like you had a part in that. Like, oh, I helped. I helped make them the person that they are. And I guess for me, it's like, I understand that. I guess for me, that's kind of, I would kind of live for that moment as a teacher. Um, but I guess for me, like, I think for me, it was the thing of the pay, unfortunately. I was just like, it's not enough. As well as the fact of, it's just one of those things where I don't know if I could handle the stress that comes with being a teacher when there are more negative situations that happen. A doctor or a nurse, it is kind of funny because I'm actually watching Grey's Anatomy. Like, I actually started watching Grey's Anatomy. And again, I'm the psycho that, like, they'll be, like, right in the middle of, like, open heart surgery, and they've got the guy opened up, his spleen's, like, out this way, his large intestines are out that way, his heart's beating, and someone's in there with their hands manually pumping it. And then there's me eating dinner. I'm like, wow, sucks to be that guy. Yeah, I hope he lives. This is a great burger. Like, I'm the psycho that can eat through open heart surgery. But it's funny because, again, when I was younger, I actually had a huge fear of anatomy. I still kind of have a fear of anatomy, but I've mostly grown out of it. But, yeah, as a kid, like, if I would have seen open heart surgery happening, I would have froze. And then probably had a panic attack so badly that I would have fainted. So doctor and nurse was not it. Counselor, I didn't really know what that meant at the time, I suppose. I think okay, no, I think I took that more as like a psychologist. And again, I actually really do like psychology. I love learning about psychology. I love learning about the science behind the brain and how it works and how things connect to each other and how, like, different, like, electrical signals go from, like, the feet to the head and how that all reads in. I love learning that, actually. But I remember, like, for me, like, it actually became way too easy for me. There were some courses I did have a few, like, struggles in, but for the most part, psychology became a little too easy for me, and I didn't really feel like it was the field for me, necessarily. So that's why I had switched to computer science, because I wanted something that was a little bit more of a challenge. Granted, I didn't know how much of a challenge it was going to be going in. I wish someone had told me. But it was still... I still love that I did computer science as a degree. And it is kind of funny because, like, architect, I feel like, has been changed out a lot for, like, either, like, architect, artist, or even, like, engineer, or some has been, like, electrician. So I think that's kind of the path I went, was down more like the architect stuff, the sciencey stuff. Not that doctor, nurse, and teacher and stuff like that aren't sciencey, or even counselor, but I think they're more like about like they are more about like I'd say more like about feelings and stuff like that. Architect being like, you're working with inanimate objects all the time, that kind of science. Teacher, doctor, and counselor are all working with the science of the brain. Architect is working with the science of things. But yeah, so who is my mentor? Do I get an interview process?
Mentors. Use the arrows on the television to see these cool women. When you are ready to find out more about one of them, use the meet button.
Okay. So there's Gail Rousseau. Sari Locker. So educational psychology. Doesn't say what she majored in. Wilma Mankiller. Want to learn more about her, actually. Chief of the Cherokee Nation. Now I really want to learn about her. Is she like a modern day Pocahontas? Carrie Ann McTarian, Public Health Medicine. Alexandria Parnasse, Art and Semiotics. Huh. I'm probably not actually gonna watch these right now. I'm probably gonna skip these for the moment, just because I want to get to the other stuff. But I do want to see who these women are. I do eventually want to look at this. So journalism, designer of handbags. Good on you, Kate. English and is an actress and producer. Marlo Thomas. Marlo Thomas sounds really familiar. But yeah, I'm probably not gonna do the meeting the mentors kind of idea, just because one, it's glitching out my computer really bad. But it seems like there's a lot of women, so Francesca Violus majored in biology and is marine microbiologist. Nice. Linda Wells majored in English and is a editor and a lure. Never mind, there was no more. Sylvia Marie Rones majored in economics, chairman and Susan Carlton Ethley majored in economics, mathematics, and computer science. Yes, thank you, Susan. And Libby Brown, current job as student. Go Mary Mead Crawford. Dottie Enrico, Dorothy Joanna. Majored in English. She's a reporter of the money section in USA Today. Abby Dale Epstein. Majored in performance studies. Current job as associate director at Roadworks. Nice. Diane Finstein, majored in history and is now the Senator of California. Nice. Christina Ferrari, majored in English and French and is an editor-in-chief for YM Magazine. Mary Davis Fisher. There's a lot of women. I mean, I am so glad that they have so many women and stuff like that from like all over the world and stuff and from like different walks of life. I have now seen 3 women that I like really want to actually see their interviews with, but I'm going to watch it in my own time and not do it right now for the video. But yeah, so majored in liberal arts, and I don't think I can go down more. Nope. Phyllis George, majored in speech and education. Sandra Lee Knox, majored in drama and is currently a staff songwriter, or is. Wendy Cobb, majored in public policy and is now the president of Teach for America. Sherry Lansing, majored in math and English and minored in education. Her current job is chairman and CEO of Paramount Motion Pictures. Holy crap. Tiana Leon, majored in composer, director, pianist, accountant. Nice. I love seeing women that have like the multiple majors and stuff like that, because I'm like, I tried doing it. I tried to double major. It was hard. But then like just to see women that have like multiple majors across different areas, I'm like, oh, like Tiana that has like she has the music major and then the accounting major, and I'm like, those are completely different majors. They don't overlap that much. So she had to like take like double the classes for that. I know she did. And I'm like, good on you for doing that. I couldn't do it, but good for you. And we are back to Gale. I don't know which one's first or second, so we did that.
Who are you?
Let's go to Deep Inside. You will see 10 sets.
You will see 10
Oh,
sets
right,
of
I
2
read.
images. Choose the one that immediately appeals to you. Don't think it over, just use your intuition. At the end of a quiz, read some heart-to-heart advice for your inner self.
Okay, so I'm seeing a pair of pictures. I need to pick the one that, I kind of like this one, actually. You are comfortable being the center of attention. Cool. I like this better. You have the details handled. After I just said I'm a big picture person. Honestly, I want that hot dog. You go for the sure thing. You are an independent thinker. Yes, I am. I like this house. You are full of hidden secrets. I love mystery so much that I became one. Ooh, that's a fun ride, actually. You are a party girl and a seeker of excitement. Oh, that is so wrong. No, that is so not me at all. I like this ride because it doesn't go that high in the air. It's not like going sideways. Oh, the kitty. I like the kitty. Cozy things. Yes. I like the waterfall. You love beauty. I actually like this better. Girly girl. I like the flowers. You like instant gratification. That doesn't make me feel better about myself. Okay, so I guess everything that I picked has like a little bit of stuff around it. So you love to express yourself and bask in the attention it gets you. Watch out for the envy of others and try to keep yourself above it. Okay. You have great self-discipline. No, I don't. Remind yourself it's not a crime to change your mind. If they mean self-discipline in the sense that I commit to the things that I have in my head, then yes. If I am a committer. If I commit to something, I'm committed to that thing until basically it no longer works anymore. Like, it's broken and damaged and there's no way I can fix it. And yes, I'm talking about relationships. I am the type of person that when I commit to somebody, I'm committed to them to the pretty much the end of my days. But yes, the whole idea is like you can change your mind is not a crime. That is something I'm actually coming to learn in a sense, is that sometimes, you know, new information becomes available or something like that, or something in the environment of what's happening changes to the point where it makes you change your mind about the thing that you were engaging in or something like that, to the point where it's like you're questioning about committing to it, I suppose. So I am learning this skill in a sense. You prefer to stay in your comfort zone and avoid surprises. You'll feel more comfortable trying new things if friends are with you. Very true, actually. And it's actually very funny because, especially with food, because this is one of my little things that I've learned about that was actually like a behavior caused by, you know, my autism, is the thing of, you know, I was always considered a picky eater growing up, and I was always made fun of it by, like, family and family friends and friends as well. And it was always a big like weakness of mine. I didn't like eating out places. I kind of had it in my head that if I ever went on a date, I never wanted to do a food date because the fact of, I was always really scared that, somebody would put forth all this time and money to go to somewhere nice to try and impress me and then be like, I was okay with just swinging by Burger King, actually. I was really just in the mood for a chicken sandwich. Because obviously it's like I'm not that adventurous with my food. I try to be adventurous now, being older. And honestly, it's like if I'm going to be in a place where I want to try a lot of food, because again, I am very thrifty. I am very conscious about the food or the money that I have and how I'm spending it. I am the person that is checking my bank account like every couple of days. One, to make sure certain bills are being paid on time as I should, but then on top of that, making sure that I am, that I have money in my bank account and that I'm spending it wisely. Again, I grew up poor, so that's kind of the big thing, but it's the kind of thing of I don't like the idea of, you know, one, food being wasted, of course, because I realize that like there's people out there that don't have the luxury of the choices of food that I have. Um, so I'd rather the food that I don't, it's like I'd rather that, that food go towards those people instead. But it's kind of thing of it's like I'd rather not waste the money on food that I know I'm not going to eat or try. So buffet style places for me are great because the fact of I can take what I'm willing to try and it's all the same price no matter how much you get. And then on top of it, it's like if I don't like it, I don't feel guilty about not liking it because the fact is like, well, I tried it at least and you know, I didn't waste the food. I still ate the food that I was committing to eat to, but now I don't feel pressured to have to eat everything on my plate or something like that. If there was something I didn't like. So yeah. You march to the beat of your own drummer and enjoy making your own decisions. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. That is definitely a skill I've learned over the years. It's still kind of a skill I learned to this day, but again, the women in my family are very, very independent. But I think for me, it's just I get a certain joy from being independent. But I've learned over the years that obviously, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. There is a sign, it is a sign of strength in a sense because it's admitting where you need improvement in, it's admitting your vulnerabilities in a sense. And it's staying strong by those vulnerabilities, like being like, I don't have this skill yet. Can you teach me it? Or being like, hey, I don't understand this. Can you help me understand it? It's it's kind of like one of those things where like by admitting weakness you're finding strength because it's the fact of you realize that it's a weakness. Whatever it is that you're asking for help with. You're realizing that you're lacking in it and you're striving to be better. That's kind of how I see it when I need to ask for help is the fact of it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of becoming stronger as a person. So if that helps you learn that skill, that's what I offer to you. Deep inside, you believe in fairy tales. I do. I do believe in fairy tales. I wish okay, kind of. I believe in Disney fairy tales. I'd rather not have like Brother Grimm fairy tales. Let's get that straightened out right now. Frogs and princesses, quest and ideals, beasts and beauties. You are inspired by the mysteries of old objects and classic stories. I am. I will say that I am a huge history buff. I love learning history about all things pretty much. So yeah, it's like it's funny because we have some forts in the area that obviously I've learned quite about over the years. Of course, my best friend Patrick has some friends at another local college that they're actually from out of the country. And when we went to these forts and everything, I remember teaching him a little bit about the forts, but then I guess he was so impressed with what the knowledge I had that he had like basically told me, like, he was like, "Oh, Michaela knows a bunch about this, like, Michaela, tell him about the fort." And so I was sitting there basically giving a history lesson. It was great fun, actually. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like such an old person, but it's like I always love to be able to pass down my knowledge to other people. In a sense, I don't know why it gives me such great joy to do that, but it does. Patience is not your strong suit. Skip the details, cut to the chase. That's you. Um, yeah, I guess I would kind of agree with that. Again, I feel like with certain things I can be very patient with. People in general, I feel like I'm very patient with. When it comes to certain things, I suppose, like things that require a lot of waiting, I become very impatient with. Indecisions, I become impatient with. The reason for me is because the fact of, obviously, I strive for progress in a sense, even if it's like very, very small progress. And when I sense that I'm hitting a standstill or a stalemate in something, I get stressed because I'm not making progress towards whatever it is that I'm trying to make progress towards. Whether that be, a better relationship with somebody, or, a project and completing it, or even like in my ability to learn something. So, yeah, I'm basically one of those people that's like, I like to just kind of cut to the chase in a sense. I don't like waiting around for things. Um, yeah. You have many classic feminine traits. Just because I'm wearing a Barbie sweatshirt does not mean I'm that feminine. Actually, growing up, I was more of a tomboy. I still kind of am. I think I've just accepted more of my feminine traits as I've gotten older. And just accepted that I am who I am, and it doesn't matter what traits I have. I still identify with what I identify with. The sound though that they made, like the dong, it almost sounded like it was like a bad thing, like, oh, you're one of those girls. And I'm like, just cause I'm drawn to the color pink, just cause I still like Barbie, just cause I like wearing dresses every now and then and looking pretty doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. You are a highly visual person with a deep appreciation of nature. You are an artist at heart. I would greatly agree with that, as I think I've said in one of my other videos as well, when it comes to, like, stories where they have a chapter story, and then they come out with a graphic novel series. I am the one that chooses the graphic novel over the chapter series because I like looking at the pictures, not only for the fact of it's easier to read, not so much that, but I love admiring the artwork and how they, you know, how they drew certain things and the expressions that they showed. Because sometimes it can be hard to convey emotion through words. Sometimes it's easier to understand that emotion. Oh, God bless you, Olaf. I don't know where you are, but God bless you. I heard him sneezing. But sometimes it can be easier to convey emotion when you're looking at someone's face. That's why for me, I'm like, I like reading graphic novels more than I like reading chapter books because it's easier to convey certain emotions, and it's easier to read into a situation, I guess, when you can see how the people are interacting with the environment and other characters in the story. But yeah, home is important to you. You love the warmth and rhythms of a house and a family. As I said, I do. I love being at home. Home is my home base in a sense. It is my headquarters. If I do not have it, I get stressed. Buddy. Oh, hi, bud. Hi. Sniffly. Do you need mommy to blow your nose for you? Hi, buddy. How's your nose looking? Come here. Come here, does mom need to blow your nose? Oh, yes, she does. Yeah, I know. I know. You don't like this part, but I gots to do it, buddy. You got a big old boogie in your nose. You'd think you'd be used to this by now, just me picking your nose like this, but I guess not. Almost got it, buddy. I know. I know. Good enough, I guess. For anybody that's wondering, no, he does not have an upper respiratory infection. He's not sick. Well, he is sick, but he's not like sick. He doesn't have like the flu or something like that. He's got herpes. Yeah, him and his brother got herpes. But unfortunately, it affected him even worse. He's like one of the 10% cats that like it affects them really, really badly. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing with him, is that he's constantly always sneezing. He's got constant Chucky Finster syndrome. But we still love you. You're still such a good kitty. You're still my beautiful baby boy. So you love to laugh, to play, to scream, and be silly. You know that having fun and being happy are among the most important things in life. Okay, that description is a lot more accurate. Party girl, I was just like, no, that's not accurate at all. But the idea of having fun, being silly, playing and laughing, I'm like, yes. It's again, I've learned a lot of these skills as I've gotten older. Because I can tell you right now that as a teenager, I probably didn't realize a lot of these skills at first about me. But being older, I have learned quite a few of these skills and learned a lot of these things about me. That life isn't about being like, you shouldn't take life so seriously all the time. There are certain things in life that, you can allow yourself some happiness and some, you know, days of whimsy in a sense. And it's okay. Like, you should find reasons to be happy, even on those days where you feel like maybe you don't deserve it, or maybe you shouldn't, or it doesn't feel appropriate, I suppose. Because, like, even me, it's like, I suffer from the big dips of depression where I just feel horrible about myself. I just want to crawl in the bed and just fall asleep, and I just don't want to do anything that day. I just can't find reasons to be happy for whatever reason. I just feel stressed and I just don't feel good about myself. But I still push myself and continue to remind myself, been like, this is temporary. This is a temporary feeling. This will fade. This too will pass. And that, I'll come out of it. And it's one of those things where like I try to go out of my way to do things that make me happy, or try to do things that, make me feel good. Even if it is like I'm just really tired and I just want to take a nap right now. I do what feels right for my body in a sense. For those people that feel like, oh, I didn't get anything done today, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I didn't do all the things on my to-do list, that's okay. It's okay to have off days. And on top of that, if you were like, I just really wasn't feeling it today and I just slept for most days, like, that's okay too. The important thing is that you're listening to your body and what your body needs, including what you need mentally. If your body is just drained and you're like, I just want to take a nap, I just want to go to bed, and you feel like that will make you feel better, do it. Because while pushing yourself is important to being able to progress into things, listening to your body is just as important. When your body is telling you it has had enough, it needs a break, that's a good time to listen to it. But yeah, so this was interesting actually. There is a try this thing as well. So let's see, activities. Ask a friend to take the quiz as if she were you. Compare her answers to yours. Switch places and you take hers. How are you the same and how are you different? No idea. Go to your diary and write a poem about the image that most appeals to you. Express what it means to you. Attach that image into your diary page. Do over. Go back to the quiz and select the images you didn't pick the first time. Think about the ones that describe how you would prefer to be. I think this is also the interesting thing about being older, and I think hopefully this kind of gives some hope to, people that are younger in a sense. While this moment in time is not where I imagined being at this point in my life, when I thought about, my life when I was 16 and thinking about where I'd be at 30, still looking at myself and the journey I've gone through and the things that I've gone through to get to this point, it's like, yes, there are things I want to improve in, but when it comes to who I am at my core, I don't want to change anything about me. I'm happy with who I am, and I feel like I love who I am, and I can see the potential, the greatness, the flaws, the things that work and don't work for me, the things that I'm confident about. I can see all of that now, and I've realized that, it does take time, and it's one of those things where it's like, to those, to those people that, may think like, will I ever get to the point in my life, that I want to be at? The answer is yes, you will eventually get there. It will take hard work and dedication as well as honesty. That's kind of the big thing for me that I think is the thing that kind of got me to where I am, is being honest. And I mean being honest with myself. So, letting myself feel emotions and then analyzing them. Like, if I was angry about something I didn't know why, I'd sit down and be like, okay, let's psychoanalyze. Why am I angry about something? And allowing myself to feel those emotions and not feeling ashamed of them or something like that. It was giving myself that space and that freedom, I suppose, that I didn't feel like I had prior. So I think that's a big thing of it. But yeah, so I did not realize how much time this was going to take. I'm already at like an hour and a half. So I guess I found my next series. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this part off here. And I'm going to pick this up in another part and do the rest of the my personality stuff and all of that. I totally thought this was going to be a one-off. I guess I was wrong. But at least I am getting through the games I picked up and that I said I was going to go through. So, I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm going to, again, do a deep dive of the rest of this. So don't worry, the rest of this game is going to be covered. And I hope to see you in the next part. Bye-bye.